and as people join, we'll just carry on. So, hey everybody, thanks for joining our all member meeting for Indie Runners. My name is Andrew Scott. I'm the current president of the club. Thanks for taking time out of your day to spend an hour or so with us. I really promise I'll really try my best not to keep you for the full hour. We all give up our time so freely, and I really appreciate you joining us. So I know how much time is worth. So I want to make sure we're giving you good value out of that. We're going to go over several things today. I don't have a ton of slides to go through, maybe around 6 or 7 or so slides. But the point of today is to really just kind of give you a heads up on where we were last year in 2023, some of the things that we had accomplished, what we're looking at 2024, and then we'll go on from there. And if Mark, if you could please advance to the next slide, that would be great. Awesome. So here's our agenda. It's not super action-packed, but at the same time, we're going to hit the high notes, and we're going to hit everything that I feel is pretty pertinent to your involvement in the club, and perhaps what you might want to get out of the club should you want to delve a little bit further in. So we're going to have a welcome. That's it right now. I'm welcoming you all here. We're going to have some introductions. We're going to go through a recap again for 2023, talk about 2024. There are some opportunities to get involved. There's plenty of those, so I'm going to dive into those, and then we're going to save some room at the end for some Q&A. So let's just go and kick things off. Mark, if you can go on to our next slide for the introductions, please. Awesome. So I don't know, saying behind closed doors, so that's just not the case. What some of you might not know is we have a pretty significant board for Indie Runners. These are all individuals that have volunteered their time to give back to the club in really meaningful ways. As you look across all the names here, what you'll see is essentially the backbone of the club. We are constantly planning. We're planning for not only our training events, but our races, for our opportunities that we can leverage with our sponsors. We have a lot going on. So if you're not very familiar with the board, or perhaps you're new to the club, the things that you experience through the club are all made possible by those individuals here on the slide. I'm not going to go through everybody's names here, but I would like to give special recognition to the board members. You put in a substantial amount of work, and not to mention the work that you do and the decisions that come out of our board meetings are evident in our races. They're evident in our weekly runs. So when people are showing up to those organized events and they see snacks and a tent and Gatorade and coolers out full of water, board members are helping other members make that happen. So my hat's off to all of our board for all the hard work you put in, and likely isn't seen, but I see it, and I appreciate you all. If we could go to the next slide, please. Wonderful. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on our recap. When it comes to meetings, I'm kind of tend to have the gift of gab. So I promise I'll try to not linger too long on a lot of these. From a membership perspective, we are in 2023, we had 572 members. Today, we have over 600. I like to say when I talk about the club to anybody that doesn't really know about Indie Runners that we are the largest club in the city and arguably the state. And I like to put that arguably in there because in case somebody wants to challenge me and say, well, but there's this one club and I don't know, in Elkhart that has so and so many. I'm like, well, we can talk about that, and they should sign up for our races. But we have a substantial membership, and with that comes a lot of activities to plan. For our donations, we received $3,843 in donations. So as I hope you know, we are a charitable organization. We are a 501c3. The donations that come in from either when you opt into a donation, when you sign up for the club, or through an event and you give a donation there, those all get circulated back into the club. Might I add, I think this kind of goes without saying that the board members you saw on our previous slide here, none of us are being paid. So this is all volunteer. We pay with our time. So we don't see any of this. The money that we take in goes right back into the club. Our training program participants, we have a substantial training program. Our STP, our spring training program, saw 235 participants last year. I mean, think about that. Think about 235 people crowding into Butler to figure out like what this whole running business is all about. Whether or not it is their first time running with a club or running with anybody or running at all for that matter, or you are a veteran runner, you're looking to crush your PR. We have a very large range of runners in our club, very diverse. I absolutely love that about Indy runners. They're not afraid to participate in our events. So speaking of our events and our participants, we have 4 races annually. Our Sam Costa is our Keystone event. We had 522 registrants for that race. I know if you've kept an eye on email lately, we've been hitting you pretty hard with Sam Costa, not only for registration, but as well as to volunteer. Being that it is our Keystone event, it's a really heavy lift for the club. So we want you to race it. We want you to participate. If you're not racing, we would love to have you volunteer. Those opportunities, if you're so inclined, just reach out to us after the meeting, or we have various links all around our social media as well as our email that can get you there, or just send me an email personally, president@indyrunners.org. I can get you squared away. Our Groundhog race, so formerly the Groundhog 7, due to some course corrections, it became the Groundhog. We're not really tying a particular distance to that right now, just due to the change. And when we're looking at a race that is all about donations. This is a free chip timed race. We want to make it streamlined and really easy, so we don't want to get tied down with merchandising orders and things like that have a specific specific distance on them that we might have to scrap later on just due to different planning obligations. 418 registrants, awesome turnout. Bulldog Jog, 711 participants. This is a partnership with Butler University. So not only Indy runners run this race and participate and volunteer, Butler certainly is a fantastic partner for this event. By the way, Sam Costa is coming up on the 23rd of this month. The Bulldog Jog is on the 20th of next month. So just kind of keep in mind that these 3 races that we're talking about now are all in the spring. So our schedule is really front loaded with activities. Even, we know it's cold, but we know you're hardy. We know you're tough. And if you're not, that's fine too. We can maybe see what we can do next year. Charity cross country race. It is a smaller race with 81 participants. This is again giving back to the community. It's a really cool event. If anybody that is Indy runners or whatnot that has ever ran cross country in high school or college or even junior high at some whatever level, this is very much getting back to the roots of putting on a pair of spikes, running a cross-country course through mud, through grass, through, you name it. And the great thing about this, again, is it ties back to the community. The money raised goes to specific charities, so it's not just one, it goes to several different charities. Awesome. I think that's all I have for that slide. Mark, if you could please go on to the next. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, like I was referring to a little while ago. Some of the things that you might not have seen, but we have enabled for 2023. The one that I actually forgot to put on the slide is probably the most obvious one, is that we started an all-member meeting. Last year, Tracy, who was our club president at that time, held our first all-member meeting. This is a way for us to have a touch point with our club, to really make ourselves visible, and hopefully to make your voices heard, and to actually like pull back that curtain a little bit to see what all these, in probably Brian Schroeder's terms, all these cheeky board members are doing here. So we're continuing that tradition with this meeting now. We also have our Erica Wells Memorial Scholarship Fund. We were able to award 3 $1,000 scholarships. So earlier when I was talking about our donations that came in of that $3,800 and change, 3,000 of that went directly back into the community to help some high schoolers get a little bit of an edge on their education and hopefully take a little bit of that financial struggle away from themselves or their families who are paying for college. We renewed 2 of our membership tiers. One is our all-in and the other is our trial membership. So for those that might not know, well, I'm sure you do, COVID hit the club really hard. We saw a lot of people not renew their memberships for various reasons, but one was due to financial burden. And while we try our best to keep our membership price low, sometimes that can be a barrier. So we don't want that to be a barrier, though. So we offered this as a means to have people run with us. We can help them out with their membership fee, and then no questions asked. It's fine. We all get it by with a little help from our friends sometimes. So that is exactly what that is for. We also have our trial membership tier, which is for somebody that's not quite ready to join the club. And I get these emails from time to time from individuals that are they're just a little bit hesitant. They want to see what we're all about. And really, I don't blame them. It has to be a good fit. So we encourage people to sign up for our trial membership to kind of get their feet wet. And after, I believe it's a 30-day window, they then get the option to join the club as a full member. The good news about that is we've seen I believe it's over a 30%, why can't I remember the term, conversion rate. So of those people, we have over 30% go from a trial member to a full member. It's just really great to hear. We have our annual membership gift. We do that every year. We rebooted our volunteer incentive program. What that means is that is a program that is geared towards rewarding those that volunteer for our races, for our events, whether that's passing out or taking tickets at Butler games, or if it is being a sentry at one of our races. Those individuals accumulate points. Those points become things. This year, it was a nice hooded sweatshirt that said Indy Runners and Walkers on it, and we'll continue that program going forward. We added another run to our weekly schedule. There's a Monday morning run ran out of the Athenaeum at 5:45 in the morning. So your morning runners, I'm one of you, I'm one of those crazy morning runners. that gets up super early and goes and runs crazy distances. If you live downtown, this might be something you want to look into. We also had our annual volunteer event at Fort Harris, at the Indy Half at Fort Harrison. Brian Cake leads that effort, to where we will give medals. We'll help out at essentially we help out at the start and finish line. There's some other work that happens in there too, so I don't want to speak out of turn and get nasty emails from Brian Cake here on our event, but that continues. So again, all of what you're seeing here is just giving back into the community, and hopefully we see that in giving back into our club. We actually have a presence all over kind of the running community in Indianapolis. We have a club tent at the Mini. We did it last year. We're going to do it again this year. We had a tent at the Monumental Mile and 5K. We have our Monumental Cheer Zone headed up by Carol Miller. She's out there. She's doing the best work, I'll tell you. She has a breakfast available for everybody that's finishing their half or their full. They have a nice warm place to go and cheer on all of our teammates as they're finishing up their runs. We had a race, we had a 10 at the 8 hour. Run the Monon returned to downtown Canal during COVID. That was a little bit of a sketchy, not sketchy, it was a little bit of a difficult chore to get everybody back downtown. In fact, we had our 10 at Broad Ripple, I believe, the previous year. So it's nice that we can actually take that back downtown and give some of our downtown runners a bit of a reprieve. We also have some regular non-running events. So you don't have to go to all the runs, but you can also go to all the parties. We have events happening after our runs on Tuesdays. People go to the Bulldog. I've seen people going to Chatham Tap and some other local restaurants to grab a bite to eat and maybe grab a beverage and enjoy some camaraderie, just like we have at our club picnic at Eagle Creek. That was such a great event. It was nice to see everybody in normal clothes and not running clothes, and actually get to hang out for a while. Okay, thank you, Mark. For 2024, we're playing the hits. We have a lot of our same programs carrying on from 2023 into 2024. We kicked off our spring training program in January with one of the biggest groups I've ever seen. When I show up on Saturday mornings and see like the sea of faces, it just really makes me smile. I'm so glad to see all of you there working towards your goal. Our groundhog race was a huge success on the 4th in February. I know our Sam Costa is going to do great coming up later on this month. Again, the Bulldog coming up in April. We have some other events that I spoke to earlier that we're still kind of planning out. So our fall training program, you can expect that sometime around July. That's conversations are kind of lightly happening there and try to understand what that training program is going to look like. And as a reminder, that program is geared for Monumental. So while our spring program tracks with Sam Costa as well as the Mini, the fall training focuses very heavily on Monumental, whether or not it's your first half or your first full. So there's 2 programs there. So anybody that's interested in running a full marathon, fall training might be for you. Charity cross country is coming up in September. Run the Monon in October as a prep race for, actually that's not a race, but sometimes it seems like it, as a prep run for Monumental. For those that don't know what Run the Monon is, that is a fully supported, I believe that's an 11-mile run and a 20-mile run. We bus you up to the top of the Monon or somewhere else in the Monon for people that don't want to go 20 miles. We drop you off, we kick you out of the bus, and we have you run back downtown. We don't kick you out, but you got to get back. And then finally, we have our Christmas lights run in December. So we'll all of those events later on in the year. So essentially anything after June, I would say. We're still kind of prepping, but you can expect these things to happen a little bit later on. Okay, next slide, please. So here are some great opportunities. So not only do we have these awesome programs, we have a lot of ways to get involved with a club outside of running. And quite frankly, we could use all of the people that you see on this slide. We constantly need race volunteers, so meaning course entries, people to work water stops. We have some more specialized roles within our races to actually, even if you wanted, we have some roles that could fill a race director role. As I'm looking at the groundhog, we have some individuals that have been putting on that race forever, and they would like to get somebody to kind of hand off some information to and see if perhaps they would be interested in taking over for them in the future. We always need group run support. So these are our bread and butter, right? These are Saturday mornings. These are our Tuesdays. These are big runs where when you're out there, you see Indy Runners Cooler. Somebody put that there, and we can definitely use a hand with getting those kinds of logistics set up. We also have board positions. If you are interested in being more of a filling an operational role or helping to shape the direction of the club, the board would be a really good avenue for that. I would invite you, for those interested in a board position, I would invite you to message me, and then I can get you an invitation to our next board meeting next month. So they're always on the, right now they're on always on the second Monday of the month. Out of those board positions, we have committees. We could definitely use some help on our marketing committee, our race committee, finances. We could use some help with our training programs. And then we also have these really interesting projects. I call them special projects. We could definitely use help with graphic design. So the email that you guys see, those are all put together by board members, and we all draw on our own skills to do these. So I don't know how many of our board members are really artists. I think y'all do a great job. At the same time, if we had like a dedicated graphic artist, I think that would go really far with a club. So think about not only our website, our marketing, but also even like t-shirts and things like that, some of our hard goods, which takes us right to promotions. We could always use help with people that would like to spread the word about Indy Runners, spread the word about our events, and really get that out there. And our last item here, I gotta tell you, this holds a little special place with the board, I think, for some kind of general handyman stuff. We have, as everybody, I hope you know, we have this water fountain that we put in several years ago. That was fantastic. It's right by the Butler campus. And we have this bench. Now, we've talked about this bench as a board for months. We could all put it together, but we need to like cement it in. And as we talk about this, it feels like none of us really know how to work with cement. We could figure it out, but putting that call out to our club and the hundreds of members that we have, thinking perhaps there's somebody that might know a little bit more about concrete work than the few of us that could be willing to learn. So we have all these opportunities available to our huge club. And it's up to you, again, if you want to be involved, I would encourage it. If these kinds of things aren't really your thing, that's totally cool too. Nobody is under any obligation to do anything. I just want you to have fun. with that, I think that takes us to our next slide. I think that's just our Q&A. So sorry, I kind of flew through those at decent pace, pardon the pun. So I'm just going to open the floor to some questions, and then if I can't answer these questions, I'm going to call on our board members to perhaps see if they can answer them. So do we have any questions?
We have one question in the chat. And it says, I heard a great suggestion this week to provide reusable silicone collapsible cups that we can carry and use at water stops. Could that be next year's membership gift, Going Green?
Yeah, we could definitely. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Did I cut you off? Okay. Okay. Thanks, Elisa. We could definitely do that. I think it was this past Saturday, and nobody's pointing fingers and everything's okay, that we ran out of cups. And that kind of thing happens from time to time. I think that's a great idea. We've talked about that before, actually, as a board for, I think it was a potential giveaway for a race. Because I know exactly what you're talking about, those collapsible cups that you could kind of fit in your pocket. That would be awesome. Yeah, so we'll definitely consider that as one of our options. I think that's a wonderful idea. What else? What else you got?
That's the only question that I see.
No, there's another one.
Yeah, hey, Craig.
How are you? I'm here with Margaret Drew, my wife and talented runner.
It's good seeing you both.
Good to see you. The reason we wanted to join today is to ask a question, and to ask the question, I need to give you a little background.
Sure.
I've been keeping Brian updated. Margaret and I have tried for several years to start a dialogue on the big need we have in our trails, which is for restrooms and water. And I've gotten the mayor to appoint me to the Indy Greenways Development Committee. I'm trying to use that as a platform to do this advocacy. Would be able to talk about it longer than anybody can stand. But that works up to a question, and that is based on a thought that's occurred to me, and that is, would the club be willing to use the newsletter to circulate a survey? I would, Andrew, you mentioned how there are more than 600 runners. Margaret and I talk to people all the time who say, oh man, did I have a terrible run yesterday? Needed to find a pit stop, couldn't get water, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could the club maybe include in a newsletter, or perhaps separately, a survey, so that I can go to the Greenway Development Committee with some numbers to say, Indy Runners, largest running group in the state of Indiana, did a survey, and everybody, or 98% or whatever it is, has gone through this great need, and urges you to make this a standard part of all trails. That's the speech.
Yeah, well, thank you. First off, thank you for bringing this, for leading this conversation. In short, I've got a lot to say, but in short, yes, we could definitely do that. If you can send me some information, we can let's talk more. But that is an easy yes, to incorporate that in. And I think I understand the need, probably just like you. I'm sure I've complained about it many times. While we're really fortunate in Indianapolis, if you're running on the Monon, it's really nice. I can run 20 miles up the Monon and then not really have to carry a lot of water with me, because we've got fountains, we've got all these other things that are around us. But at the same time, that's not everywhere. If we can have some fountains elsewhere, where we don't have to worry about that kind of thing, yeah, I'm super supportive of that. So yeah, let's talk some more and see what we can do about getting Indy runners behind that.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
And right now, I think a lot of runners out there, whether they belong to the club or not, really
Yeah.
appreciate the water and the Gatorade the club puts out. Yesterday or Saturday, I did a 16-mile run, and I was so grateful for that 30th and Monon water stop, so I could have a gel and have a water. And I really like the sign that's saying everyone can take part of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I saw runners coming in. I didn't know who they were, but they were all taking part of it. What I really, really think that our trails are a wonderful part of the city, but they could be better. And I'm
Yeah.
tired of hearing people say water fountains and restrooms are amenities. They are not. They are
They should be
necessities.
necessities. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
that
I
is the goal.
completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're really fortunate here in Indy. I talk to runners that are all over the world, and when I tell them that I don't have to, depending on my route, of course, if I don't really have to take water with me. It's our club does a really good job as being supportive about that, but they don't have that luxury. And if we can, exactly to your point, Margaret, if we can expand the system out to not, we don't have to worry about water with like water coolers and just having fountains out there. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
We see this all over the world and in other countries where you just step right up, you fill up your bottle, and off you go. So it's kind of a weird thing that we haven't really caught on to that yet. But yes, super supportive of it.
Andrew, if you can indulge me, one more comment.
Sure.
Fluids, yes. Restrooms, no, on the Monon. If you take a look at the beautiful map at the Canterbury Park at roughly 54th and the Monon, you'll see one restroom symbol for
Yeah.
the 9.6 miles of the Monon from 10th Street to 96th. And that restroom is right there at Canterbury Park, and it's usually locked. And,
Yeah.
and so it is
Yep.
stop at the McDonald's and hope that's okay. It's stop at the Kroger at 86th and hope that's okay. And that's the best supported of the trails. Try running.
Right.
Try that on Fall Creek Parkway. There's nothing on
Yeah.
and on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was the fourth president of Indy Runners in the early 1980s. Margaret was the president of Indy Runners in the 1990s. I'm now 81. I can tell you people my age are not going to go very far without access to restrooms. I can also tell you that people with young kids are not going to go very far without restrooms. And it's Indy runners and walkers and people who don't run we want to have out on those things. And these facilities would make a huge difference in the rate of use, I think.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So let's talk some more about how the club can help enable this conversation and hopefully make this conversation a little louder, so the voices that need to hear it can hear it and can actually like do something about it. Yeah, I'm super supportive of this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
you bet.
Greg
And thank
Margaret,
you.
Thank you. That is, I mean, if we got nothing out of tonight's meeting other than the two of you being advocates for our city and for the running community and for anybody that goes out on a trail, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Hey Andrew, this is George Gill. Can somebody on this call give us an overview of what it took to get that fountain in there at 52nd and the at Butler? Because I don't know what it took.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if Brian Schroeder's on the call.
I see him there.
He was leading that effort. I was just kind of coming into the club, I believe, at that point, threw some dollars that way for donations. But Brian, are you able to hop in and speak on that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, thanks, Craig and Margaret, for your work on the restroom factor. Kay is enthusiastically off-screen thumbs up in the restrooms as well. Um, Less dashes into nearby woods and whatnot. The drinking fountain at 56th Street as 52nd was a kind of a long process with the flood wall project sort of going on at the same time. But the first step was to just sort of talk with the owners and interested partners and factors. So it's a little interesting. The canal itself is owned by, is it Citizens Energy now or AES Energy now, something like that? Energy,
Yep.
and the towpath is managed by Indy Parks. So it's a combined sort of situation there. So you need to kind of get that both of them on board, and then we needed to find a, not really an architect, but some sort of planner person. I'm butchering the name of our guy that sort of drew up plans for us.
Okay.
And then purchase a drinking fountain from the Most Dependable Drinking Fountains, which is a wonderful name for your business. They're really pretty good. And then wait for Corps of Engineers and flood wall projects to be routed and under-routed and changing sides and a whole big thing. But at some point, the flood wall was finished and the path there was up. And our guy, we had Shield Sexton was our installation company.
Wow.
It was open and he was in pretty constant conversation with the Corps of Engineers. And they said, hey, if you want to come over and do it. And so he jumped on it. This was early COVID, April of 2020, I think. Finally pounced on it, put it in, sent me a picture and said, you got yourself a drinking fountain. So there you go. And so we left it on. I think it was one of the only ones really that was on during COVID times.
Yeah.
Which was kind of nice. So we got some nice thanks to the club from folks passersby, and the dog bowl I think is really appreciated as well. We get good dog shout outs. So that was the process at 52nd.
And what was the fundraising process? Is it mostly individuals donating or was it not?
But both, yeah, a lot of individuals. So is GoFundMe or something similar that we use. I think there's a not-for-profit version of that, at least that was in 2014 when we started, 2013 when we started doing this. That takes a little bit less of a cut of the donations on the platform if you're a nonprofit, which was nice. So we raised $25,000, I think, all told. The fountain itself was 4,000 maybe. Installation and everything else was upwards pushing probably 18 total by the time it all got done. So a lot of that was membership, and our little plaque that is there calls out some major donors. Butler gave us, I think there were $2,500 checks. Butler gave us a big check. Dr. Helms gave us a big check.
Nice.
A couple other entities, IHM, where we go to church, their cross-country team raises money, and they practice there at Holcomb Gardens and at Butler, so they did some fundraising for us. Who else on there? Shield Sexton wrote off a little bit of it to make a $2,500 in-kind donation. And then the Monumental Marathon folks, Beyond Monumental, came in with a pretty big donation at the end to finish us out. Was it Jed then, or maybe it was Blake Bolden back at that time being the executive director?
Probably Blake.
What do you need to finish out your fundraising? And I said, we need this. And he said, done.
Wow.
Yep.
So
Okay, thank you for that.
yeah, so it was a lot. But that was, it was like 10 years ago that we asked people for money. So Craig, we're probably about ready to ask people for money again. Fountains and restrooms. So
we could always name the next fountain the George Gill Fountain from Indy Runners. So the opportunity is there, George.
As long
We
as
can
it's not
talk
the
about
George,
this.
as long as it's not the George Gill Memorial Fountain yet. Thank you.
yes, in true board meeting fashion, asking the question about it also volunteers you to head it up. So great job by George Gill taking on the next.
I see. Okay.
Go get him, friends.
Wonderful. Great question. Anybody else? What else is on your mind?
Okay, so this is Delisa, and I just recently heard about something called plogging. Is anyone familiar with that
Oh, yeah.
term?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, so yep, go
yeah,
ahead.
so plogging is where you collect trash along the run. And I wonder if that's anything that we would be interested in doing. I mean, I know we run the Monon mostly, and it's
Yeah.
mostly trash free, but I don't know. It just seemed like a really good idea. And since we're talking about being um, environmentally friendly and going green, and we
Mhm.
all love
Mhm.
trails, so I was just wondering if that's something that we might be interested in the future.
Yeah, I'm super supportive of that as well, Delisa. In fact, it was, I think Beyond Monumental used to do that. I want to say either the day after the race or a few days before on the Mona. I think they actually partnered with November Project on that. Um, I'm supportive of it, whether or not we do it ourselves or we partner with somebody else. Um, Giving back to the community that way is meaningful, and it's so awesome that we get to run around the city in some of these weird areas that nobody ever goes, but like I know that's a mile to that little bush over there. But if we can help clean up our city, yeah, we should be doing that. How many times have, even on best intentions, a gel packet might have slipped from your pocket, despite you really thinking you had it tucked in, and then it's on the ground. It's definitely happened to me before. So yeah, I think we can figure something out. Great question. Anybody else?
No more questions in the chat.
Hey, Andrew, I have a comment.
Yeah, sure.
One of the things about the benefits of the club that you didn't have on the slide is race discounts.
Oh
Pretty
yeah,
much
yeah.
any race that happens in Indianapolis, we are able to get a discount code for $5 off, 15% off, something like that. So the membership pays for itself in any case. And a lot of times, even with the merchandise that we buy, I know that the spring training program, I was able to get a discount on the shirts, and that actually paid for the whole membership, what I ended up buying from there. So while our prices are really low for the membership itself, it really pays to be a member.
Yeah. No, that's a great call out, Jennifer, because we get approached by, we not only have our own like merchandise and own race discounts and that kind of thing. We get approached by everybody. I get emails from Monumental, from Geist, from the Mini from time to time, and all these kind of smaller races as well. They want to tap into our club because they know we're huge. So in doing so, they say, "Hey, how about we send you guys X amount of codes for $10 off, $5 off, something like that." And yeah, we're happy to forward those on. You probably have seen some of these in our social media, because we put it through our social media pretty often, as well as we've put in our newsletter as well. But those are a little bit more limited runs, there's so many races out there. We get approached by so many of them. We tend to select the ones that have are partnered with, are relevant to the Indianapolis area, and ones that we think that would be a good fit. So one was, I think it was somebody from Indy Trails not too long ago approached us with helping to promote one of their events. They're not a sponsor. We don't really have like a formal affiliation with them. However, we do use trails. We do run on trails. So that's a good fit. So we put that in the newsletter. So there's a lot of opportunities there as well. Good call out, Jennifer. Anybody else?
I just have one more thing, and I was talking to
Yep.
Delisa on Saturday when we were running together for a few miles. I just want to give a shout out to Delisa for really improving the visibility of our club to the city and
Yeah.
to our Instagram, to our Strava. And she and Mark, I think between the two of them have done an amazing amount of
Yeah.
work to promote our club. So thank you both, Mark and Delisa, for your dedication to the club and for your passion for making sure that everybody knows about it and can get involved if they want to. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of hands at work, and we see some that are lifting quite a bit. So yeah, again, I echo your comments, Jennifer. Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll wrap us up. All right. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap us up then. So we talked about quite a bit today. We talked about some great things that we did last year. We talked about how we're going to carry some of the, well, most of those into 2024. We're not quite through the first half of the year. We still have plenty to go. It's just going to get better. We still have a lot more to offer. We've got training programs, we've got races, we've got social events. We just have a lot of fun. If there is anything that you need after this call, just let me know. Shoot me an email, hit us up on our socials, and that will get routed to me or to the appropriate person. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your day again to spend some time with us, to hear us talk about this amazing club, everything we do. I know you're out there training hard, or you're just having fun while you're running. You don't have to train hard. You don't have to like go all out all the time. You know, some people show up and just want to run and meet up with their friends and have a lot of laughs along the way. So thank you all. You're all welcome here, and I really appreciate it. So with that, have a great night, and I will see you out there.